Hello YouTube artists, I'm Kelly Hernig and welcome to In the Studio. Today is a continuation of my Addison and Sedgwick handmade watercolors. Last week we explored the set Berlin. Today we're going to explore the set Budapest. So Budapest is this bigger set here of 7 colors. And Berlin was these 6 colors here. So for Berlin, which I did last Thursday, this is the piece we created with it. I just had fun with grapes and I was doing wet on wet and I love the way that it turned out. So for Budapest, it is these 7 colors, which are gorgeous. Here's the 7 colors. And for this, I'm going to do a pear and 2 like wildflowers. I just thought it would look nice with these colors. I love this green and I love all the lighter pinkish, purplish cranberry tones. So we're going to see what kind of fun we can have with that. I'm going to start with the pear first because for the flowers, I'm going to have to turn it upside down. I do better pulling strokes towards me than away from me. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to be using 2 brushes to paint with. Today I'm going to be using the Da Vinci Cassino No. 2, which is a fat quill brush. And then I'm also going to be using my Princeton Long Round Aqua Elite No. 8 because of its beautiful point there. These 2 and then my paint, and then I've got my little playful palette out of my ceramic set that I got for Christmas. I've also got a couple binder clips because I want to make sure that the pages stay down, especially because I'm working across the seam. I always find the binder clips work really good. And I do want to wet first. I am liking wetting. By wet, I mean just damp. I just use this little bitty mister and I am going to lightly mist. So I almost shoot across the page going this way instead of straight on my page because I do not want a lot of water. That should do it. Let me show you the water on here. See that there's no standing puddles. If you've got standing puddles, that's too much water, and I would suggest that you just blot it with a paper towel. When using handmade watercolors, they suggest that you just get the surface wet, or damp, I should say. Just little dots. I'm not drowning them or anything. I know I want the pear to be green, so I'm going to dip into that green first. This is a beautiful green. I will tell you the names at the end of all the colors. Isn't this beautiful? Got a little crease in there from my spine. The book I'm using is Handmade Sketchbook by Deanna off of Etsy, and Addison and Sedgwick are also on Etsy. I'm going to mix a little bit of the green here with the blue. See what kind of color I can get. Again, I'm trying to leave some white space on my paper. It's a goal of mine. I just like when it has a little white space. It seems a little airier to me. It's really not important to a lot of people, but to me it is this year. It's one of my goals, so. Do I like that? I love that big space in there. So I'm going to splash just for texture. I like to see what the colors do. You can see I've got a little puddle down here. I'm just going to blot that, pick it up just a little bit. Then I'm going to add some more of the blue because I like that color where it was. I'm going to take a little bit of just, I've rinsed my brush, blotted it on paper towel. I'm going to soften that edge right here. I'm going to add a little bit more green. I just don't want it that hard. Kind of like that edge there. Take a little water on that, on my brush, and splatter. Gonna touch a little blue into that, splatter again. Okay, now you can see that this is kind of going into the crease of my paper here. So what I'm gonna do is move it this way and splash. Hopefully some of the water will hit on it and move it that way. I'm loving that area right there. All right, I see it moving, it's good. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is turn you upside down because I want to work on this big flower here. And this way too, I'll kind of keep my hand out of it, which will be good. I've got the two lines this way, and then it kind of comes up like that. I know I want to play with the pinks and the purples with this. This is almost a coppery color. It's beautiful. And I'm going to mix a little bit of that purple in it. Ooh, look at those colors mixing. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. There's my center, so everything needs to come from my center. I'm going to switch to my Aqua Elite because I want little sharper edges over here, a little pointier. There we go. Okay, I'm going to grab some of that coppery color just by itself. Okay, you can see that they're all pretty much the same length. I need to lengthen some. And I'm adding a little more color to it. I'm going to splash. Try to make a thicker puddle now. So more color, less water of the same two colors. See that I'm just kind of dipping them in there. It's going to give me a nice variety. I don't like that one. Let's take that back. Okay. While this is wet, I'm going to try green and brown and see what kind of mix I get here. You don't want it too brown because then it will look like it's dying, and I don't want that. I want it to be nice and vibrant. Okay, I'm going to just touch some of this in there so it will bleed with some of the plant. Bleed means just blend into it. I'm going to touch a little bit of green that way. Okay, I'm going to touch just a little bit of brown. I like that a lot. That's looking very cool. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of that purplish color. I want to blot some of that out here too. And I want to say thank you. I really appreciated you've given me a lot of tips. I've been practicing. As you can see, I'm a little more sporadic this time. I've got another flower here. So for the first flower, I used these two colors. For the second flower, I want to use these two. They're a little brighter, but I like the location here. It's a smaller flower. It's about half the size of that one. So we'll see what kind of colors we can get with that. It's more of a kind of corally color and then a really vibrant color. I'll show you them on my palette here. So these are the two colors. Aren't they intense? Where those were the other two. Just gonna mix on my palette here just to kind of get a mix of both of them. Gonna splash that. Okay, I'm gonna add the green again for the stem. Okay, I've got a stem on top of this pear here. I have it drawn there. I think I'm going to change the direction to over here. I'm going to touch a little bit of blue into that. A little more blue. This is still wet down here, so I think I should be able to shade it quite nice. Just water. I don't know about you, but that's pretty exciting. I'm going to add a shadow under the pear here. So what I'm going to do first is wet the area under the pear. I just want to pull it back a little bit this way. So I'm going to add a little bit of brown and blue. Just water on my brush. I like to give it a little area to pull forward. Okay, I'm going to let it dry and then I will be back to show you. Before I bring this up to show you, I want to talk about the colors here and give you the names of them. This is the Budapest set. This is Bela Lugosi. Liszt. It's L-I-S-Z-T, Jaja, Mama Jolie, Pulitzer, Ava, and Houdini. Aren't those the best names? I know, they're so fun. Now, you can buy the Budapest set, but I also think you can buy some individual colors. You'll just have to look at that. I will have all of the color names listed down below so that you don't have to try to remember. But I want to bring you up so you can see all the beautiful texture on this flower. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? And the pear, look at those color combinations. I absolutely love this Houdini green. I think it's such a pretty green, and I love it mixed with the blue. And there's the shadows. I like having the little light spaces here, and I love the soft and hard edges. A soft and hard edge, see how this edge is exact? That means it's hard. Soft edge here, see that this part of the pear kind of goes away or blends really nicely with the paper. That's called a soft edge. I like to have soft and hard edges in my paintings if I can. So that's a great area of distinguishing the two of them. I love the white paper that I left down here. I especially like this little white space right down here in the dark. See it down here? I just really like what that does. It just gives me that little bit of relief. And you can see on the flowers too, there are also soft and hard edges. So there's a hard edge. Then we've got some softer edges up here that kind of blend. And that's because, remember when I sprayed the paper, it was wet, so it just kind of took the color and just like went like that with it. Kind of exploded it. And then on this one too, we've got soft and hard edges all over the place actually. There's a soft edge right here next to a really hard point there. This one I would still consider a soft edge only because of the value of it. See how light it is compared to like the purple. So I would consider that a soft edge. This in here, this blurriness, definitely a soft edge. Definitely hard edge here and here, but then a little softer here. So when you're looking at your pieces, I want you to kind of evaluate them and go, okay, do I have enough interest? You can see all the values that I have there. There's a lot of range. So when you are looking at your piece and evaluating, is it keeping your attention or is it not? Are you moving on to find something else to look? When you find yourself just looking and discovering, that means that you have a lot of interest in there, and that's really great for your paintings. Like this kind of area right here is kind of boring, but it leads me into the white space and the beautiful dark down here, and I know across is that nice edge. So I'll take this little bit of boring there. I could come back if I wanted and add a little bit more blue in it, or I could actually wet that a little bit and take a little bit out or splash and then blot with my paper towel. Let's see what that does. So you have to kind of let it sit there a minute. Let me show you how wet it is. See how wet it is? So I'm going to let it sit there because I want it to get down to the paper. Okay. There you go. You can see it lifted up just a little bit to give me a little more variation right there. And I'm happy with that. That looks nice. So now I've got a little light spot there, a little darker here, and that leads me down and around to over here. It's nice to evaluate your own work, especially when you're sitting at home and you don't really have anyone else to show it. All you're looking for is interest. For me, it's all about texture. It's about color mixing. It's about the merging of different colors and how they play with one another. And as you saw, I dabbed a lot. I was always taking my brush and dabbing on here, dabbing on there. I rarely pull a big long flat like that because what that does is flatten the color for me because I don't use that much water. So having just a little bit of paint on there, it flattens the edge a lot, and I like to have a little movement all around my pieces. I hope you liked Budapest the way that I did. I just think it's a lovely color palette. I think Addison and Sedgwick have done a beautiful job with the Berlin set as well as the Budapest that we painted with today. If you were inspired by today's video, please like, comment, or subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.